My Green Lab's mission is to build a global culture of sustainability in science. And there's a lot of companies that are now incorporating more recycled content and bioplastics into their products. We do have labs that are returning to using things like reusable glassware.
A lot of scientists are interested in how do we make the world a more sustainable place. But how do you make your lab more sustainable? Well, James Connelly from My Green Lab is going to tell us all about that in our latest episode of Teach Me in 10. So what are the first steps a lab can take when considering sustainability initiatives?
I think it really starts with awareness. Once scientists understand the significant environmental impact of their actions, their equipment, their behaviors, then they can think about how to begin taking action. We always recommend people start with low-hanging fruit, things that don't cost a lot of time and money, but can have a significant impact, and then build from there. One of the great ways to start building awareness is a program that My Green Lab has, which is our My Green Lab Ambassador Program. It's a free online crash course in sustainability, and it really gives people a fundamental understanding of both where the big sources of impact are and where they can drive change. And lastly, I would say don't reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of resources and tools and frameworks that we and others provide that labs can take advantage of without having to start from scratch.
So what are some effective ways that labs can reduce their energy usage without compromising the quality of their work?
You know, the two biggest drivers that researchers have influence over in a lab are going to be your freezers and your fume hoods. So an ultra-low temperature freezer can use as much energy as 2 American homes. Simply chilling it up to minus 70 can reduce that energy consumption by close to a third. Managing the coils, cleaning the coils, defrosting the freezer can also help to improve efficiency, and better organizing your samples can actually increase the efficiency of your research work and maybe lead you to even, and we've seen this quite regularly, decommission some of the freezers so that you're not running as many of those units. So freezers are a great way where you can make an impact, and it's not going to reduce either the efficiency, the effectiveness, and drive pretty rapid ROI. Another opportunity is definitely fume hoods. In fact, keeping your fume hood closed when not in use not only isn't going to impact your research efficiency, it's best practice from a safety standpoint. So I would say focusing first on freezers and fume hoods is a great way to get a quick return on investment with minor behavior changes that aren't going to, and in some cases can actually increase the quality and efficiency of researchers' work.
Now, it's been a little while since I've worked in a lab, but I know that many labs rely heavily on single-use plastics. What are some practical alternatives that can be introduced to minimize this plastic waste without sacrificing safety or functionality?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, we do have labs that are returning to using things like reusable glassware, but that's not always a solution that's going to work for every application. And so I think instead of, just saying, oh, we need to do away with single-use plastics, you have to take a broader value chain view and perspective. So one of the things we work with labs to do is, if they're buying a lot of single-use plastics, are they buying lower carbon alternatives? Are they buying alternatives that have incorporated bioplastics? And are they buying alternatives that have been certified to third-party verifications, like the ACT label that rates products on sustainable criteria so you can select more sustainable opportunities? Then you need to look downstream at where the product goes at the end of its life. There's a lot of really interesting new technologies that are coming out. Granova has a tip washing machine that actually allows you to reuse pipette tips, and they're looking at plates and other plastic, extending the life of those single-use plastics. And then there's a lot of innovation happening around waste. There's new ways to treat regulated medical waste. We work with a company called Envitech that can break down and sterilize regulated medical waste and biohazardous waste in a lab without necessarily needing to send that to a landfill or to incineration. There's a company we work with called Polycarbon that has a take-back program, and then you can actually buy more recycled content materials. And there's a lot of companies that are now incorporating more recycled content and bioplastics into their products. And the ACT database is a great way to find those products.
Can you provide an overview of My Green Lab's mission and the role of the certification program in promoting sustainability within laboratories?
My Green Lab's mission is to build a global culture of sustainability in science, and we do that through education, community building, and market-leading certification programs that are encouraging scientists to incorporate sustainability into everything they do. Our flagship program is My Green Lab certification, which is a proven process and continuous improvement tool that actually engages your whole lab in understanding and benchmarking their current sustainability performance, and then providing with them with the tools and resources to make progress and improve their sustainability outcomes. It also allows them to be verified and measure and ultimately receive a certificate demonstrating that they've achieved a certain level of performance. But that's not really the point of the program. The point of the program is the education and engagement in continuous improvement process. Then that gives them that certification reward. However, the certification is really powerful. It allows them to inspire others within their institution that they can do more. It allows their organization to distinguish itself from their peers, and it creates a standard that the whole industry can follow and work towards across the world.
What prompted the development of Certification 2.0, and how does it differ from the previous version?
So the My Green Lab certification has to date been rolled out across over 4,000 labs in 50 countries, and we've been undergoing a constant state of continuous improvement, getting feedback from our users. The previous version of the program was very much focused on engaging scientists and driving behavior change. The new program adds some really core elements around measuring the environmental benefit of actions and actually estimating the impact as well as financial savings of those actions, and then providing third-party verification to ensure that a lab that says it's implementing a solution actually is and getting the result that's expected. That all then trees up into an organization dashboard where you can see the progress that the lab has made, but then upper management can actually look down and see how a whole host of labs or the director of division can see what are the progress that the organization is making over time. So that new tool that drives measurable impact with third-party verification, we think is much more valuable. We're seeing actually a 5x return on investment from labs that are implementing it through in just 1 year alone. So we're really seeing quick benefit, measurable impact that labs are seeing from that new tool.
For labs interested in pursuing the Certification 2.0, what steps should they take to get started, and what resources are available to support them?
Yeah, I mentioned previously the ambassador program. I think that's a great way to familiarize yourself if you're just interested. And then I would encourage you to reach out to our team. We're available to walk you through the software tool, introduce you to peers, or share some case studies that can demonstrate the type of benefits that a lab like yours and a region like yours can see. And then we have an entire team that's dedicated to walking you through the certification process. So we'll get you onboarded on the software tool. The tool actually then takes a baseline based upon survey results and a measurement of the actions that you've implemented to date. Then it provides a series of recommendations that's really like a choose your own adventure of what are the key things that are going to drive the most impact in your lab, and then a verification process at the end. So that verification will ensure that you have measurable savings, that we verified anything that lab members said they did have actually been implemented. But it doesn't stop there, because actually at the conclusion, when we issue your certification, we also offer additional recommendations for improvement. And we're always adding additional resources to the program, for you to implement new initiatives within your lab, and then we're revising and updating the program over time based upon the feedback of our community and the state of best practice, because as you know, science is always changing, evolving, and so the tool needs to keep up with that pace of change.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today, James. A big thank you to James, and thank you to all of you guys watching. Subscribe if you want to see our next episode of Teach Me in 10.